Hello, fitness business nerds. What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Business for Unicorns podcast. And today I'm here with my man, Ben. Mr. Pickard, how the hell are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. Can we start with like a real personal win in our friendship it's coming up soon that we just learned about recently?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
I'm being really shady about it because I want you to spill the beans. We're doing something together for the first time.
Well, it's the first time for me, but it's the first time we've done it together. All right.
Yeah, that's true. Tell our listeners about it.
I am going to my very first Broadway show, and
Yay.
I am talking about it. So congratulations are in order to us. I had it that I don't like plays, and then Michael had such good things to say about the Harry Potter theatrical experience. Play doesn't seem to do it justice. I'm sure that's not the right word anyways. And it blew my fucking mind. It was amazing. So good. Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, do I like a different medium of entertainment? And anyways, every year we go to Michael's house to do annual planning. You've heard us talk about quarterly planning. Annual planning is just super quarterly planning. Michael's like, Stranger Things is on Broadway. Playing on Thursday night, which is when I'm at his house. He's like, should we go see Stranger Things? I'm like, oh my God, I want to go see Stranger Things. So I'm going to go to my first Broadway show, and it's I'm excited, obviously, but it's also an interesting experience of like, I legitimately asked a question around like, are there cultural norms I need to know about? Is there a dress code? I have no idea what to expect. Idea. It's not that different than like, I've never had a trainer before. What do I do?
Yeah. That's a whole other thing. Yeah. I'm so excited, and theaters is such a huge part of my life and Mark Fisher's life. Both of our spouses work or have worked on Broadway for like a decade. We see shows all the time. We grew up doing theater. And I know a lot of people have a sour taste in their mouth when it comes to like plays or musicals. But I promise y'all, they're not all created equal. There's some stuff that really fun, cool, cutting edge stuff that happens on stages. And there's some boring ass shit too. But I love that, something like Harry Potter or something like Stranger Things, which for those of you who watch the Netflix series, both have stage versions now. And the one that is Stranger Things is really cool. There's so much like stage magic, and it's scary as hell. And it's a prequel to the actual show on Netflix. So I'm just so stoked that I get to be Ben's, Sherpa to his first Broadway show. I'm stoked about it.
Well, and I just realized now, I think I'd pretty good at keeping an open mind with new things. Like my default interest and your default interest are, for the most part, very little overlap.
Yep.
But I'm also like down to try shit. And 100%. I think I actually don't like, that I don't like theater stuff, because when I was younger, I remember my parents taking me to, if you happen to live in Southern Ontario, Stratford for like Shakespeare related stuff. And I get there's probably some 14-year-olds out there who are into Shakespeare. I was not one of those people.
Very few.
But then you go see, like, I saw The Lion King that I thought was cool, and I was probably a teenager. And Harry Potter blew my damn mind. It was like, how the hell did they do that? But I'm captivated by the story. I got to pay attention, and I expect this, like, it's better than CGI. Christopher Nolan would approve. He's anti-CGI.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Well, I think, it's just a good example of, even though our inherent interests and our upbringing are so different, we're both so game to try things. And like, those are the kind of friends I want in my life. The ones that are going to introduce me to things I've never done before and let me introduce them to things I've done before. Like, sign me up for those kind of friendships.
And so far, you're batting 1,000. I can't think of too many things. You took me to my first drag show. It was a riot. Awkward at first, but loved it. I'm like, are you sure we're supposed to give them dollar bills? That seems demeaning. Be like, no, that's how it works.
Right, that's how it goes.
Theater, for sure. Yeah. There's probably a couple others I can't think of, but so far it's like they've all.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm just more assertive. But I'll do all the things. You want me to go camping and kayaking, and I did grow up riding motorcycles, but not your kind of motorcycle. And so, like, I'm happy to go do all the things. Teach me how to drive that big tractor thing you got. I'm ready. I don't know what it's called, but it looks fun.
I think you'd love it, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's amazing. So anyway, I just wanted to share this milestone with all of you. So you're used to hearing Ben and I talk on this podcast, but it's a real milestone in our relationship. But we'll report back after we go see Stranger Things and give you a full review.
The whole episode, that'll really resonate with our listeners.
Yeah, they'll really love it. Listen, there's a lot of people who probably watch the TV show and love it, so they'll be curious to know if the stage show is any good. Yeah.
I recommend you do. You are absolutely missing out. It is captivating. It is wonderfully done.
It's so good.
Metallica music is in it. It's 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's really great, especially if you love that genre of like 80s sci-fi horror kind of stuff. It's like it's right in that lane. Anyway, well, thanks for letting us go on this. What is a 5 minute and 20-second tangent about theater? Now on to the main show for today. So one of the things we want to talk about today, and we haven't talked about this for a while, but I think it's a really important, maybe a key skill set for all you managers and leaders out there, is how to conduct really good one-on-one meetings. I've said on this podcast again and again, and I will keep saying it again and again, that I don't think you can be a good manager or leader. I'll use the word manager for this moment because this is what really we're talking about. You can't be a great manager unless you have regular, consistent touch points with the people you manage that have a clear agenda and a clear purpose, and they happen consistently, same time every week or every other week. It's just a critical part of building that relationship of the people that you work with and you manage. And it's good for both of you. But there has to be real structure and purpose to it. And there are great one-on-one meetings, and there are horrible, terrible, no one loves them one-on-one meetings. And we want to talk in this podcast just, for the next, 15, 20 minutes about what makes a really good one-on-one meeting and what are maybe some things to avoid. What's your experience been with this, Ben? As someone who, really has learned to manage people as a gym owner, what's your journey been with learning to have really good one-on-one meetings?
That's a great question. Gotta think on that for a second. Well, I have completely 180'd my take on this. Yeah. So coming from as a trainer as a craft who then opened a gym, my original, and someone who attended a lot of mediocre meetings from people truly probably trying their best, but falling drastically short of expectations. I'm like, well, I've been self-employed as a trainer even before I owned my gym. And I'm like, cool, this is just time that I could have been making money training somebody where you want to talk at me for 45 minutes. And then what's the point? I just didn't see any value.
Yeah. And in some cases, there just wasn't any value to see.
Yes. My experience of meetings was that they sucked.
Yeah.
Now that I'm managing people, I have I'm just going through the list in my head. I think I have 4 one-on-one meetings every week. And I think those are some of the most important hours of my week.
Yeah.
It is, yes, meetings can be your most expensive thing, particularly team meetings, provided you pay for them, which I think you probably should. But they're also like the same page conversation that everybody needs. I cannot imagine having a direct report, to use corporate speak here, and not having some sort of regular meeting cadence. I genuinely can't imagine how that would work. I don't think it would.
Yeah, I agree. You can't build a relationship with someone that you're working with on a regular basis if you don't see each other on a regular basis and structure your time together to make sure that you're focused on the most important things for your work together, right? I think it's not just about becoming friends. In fact, I don't even care if you're friends with the people that you work with, but I need you to like and trust each other enough to be effective in your work together. And that requires some quality time together, and consistency of what you spend your time talking about and working on. So maybe let's just go through. I think for the purpose of this call, what we decided we would do is maybe walk through what we think a really good one-on-one meeting agenda looks like. For those of you who are listening, who are in our Unicorn Society or Leadership Society groups, you have access to this already. We have a whole meeting agenda kind of playbook, a team meetings playbook, which goes through all of our agendas. But for those of you listening, you might want to grab a pen and paper because we're going to go through what we think is a really great kind of 30-minute one-on-one meeting agenda, and just give you kind of the best practices. This is not the only way to have a one-on-one meeting, but what we hope to check off for you is a list of things that are really critical components of a great one-on-one meeting. So you want to kick us off, Ben? Where's the best place to start a one-on-one meeting that's 30 minutes long?
Starting with a personal check-in.
Yeah.
How's life outside of work? This could also be viewed as give me a couple things that have gone well. Personal and professional is what we use at BFU. Yeah. And you want, the goal of this, there's obviously a few different ways you could do this. If I'm going to say one, it's going to be a personal check-in. But it's so that you're actually getting to know the person and you're hearing what their likes and interests are. And you're getting a pulse check over time on what are the things they value and care about. It gives you so much information that, like, if they're, if their parent or their spouse is sick and they've got this other thing going on, that other thing,
Yeah.
like it actually gives you a lot of information of like, maybe I want to soften the feedback I was planning on giving them later. Maybe I
Hmm.
shouldn't ask them for this other thing. It's not just to give you ammunition so that you can do that, but by asking good questions, it helps you be a better manager and leader because you can manage the human being, not just the ink and paper role.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. I mean, I don't know if it feels like it's spoiler alert, but spoiler alert, everyone that you work with has a life outside of work. And how that
Yeah.
life outside of work is going impacts their ability to show up and do their job every day in positive and negative ways. And so if you are a manager and you completely ignore what someone's life is like outside of work, I'm not saying you got to be nosy. I'm not saying you got to be up in their business, but you have to be curious about how's life. Your kids were sick. How are they doing now? I know you're taking care of your mom. How are you doing at taking care of yourself? I know whatever the case is, you're moving. That's really stressful. How are you doing at managing your time, right? These are things that, it's okay to talk about with the people that you work with. And I would say over time, it's essential that you know those things so you could better, build a relationship and help them navigate their work and life together. Yeah. All right, cool. So personal check-in, great place to start. Then where do you go? What's one of the things you could do next?
Well, there's a couple different things you could do next. So the order is up to you, but one of those would be wins and challenges, or this could be also framed for our EOS traction frameworks for unicorns friends, issues and opportunities is how I would think of this. What are the
Yep.
discussion
Yep.
items for today? Issues are things that are challenges you're facing. Opportunities could be like potential wins. But ideally, both of you would be contributing to, I vote for Google Doc because it's simple, a meeting, and you'd both be able to pre-populate this before the meeting, and you both would have reviewed it before the meeting. So none of this is probably like a blindside. And it would be like, I'd put my initials if it was me and Michael and be like, BP, we've got this cool opportunity with X thing. I'm not going to write a novel, but then I have gave Michael enough information like, hey, it looks like we got a cool opportunity. Tell me more about that.
Yep.
And I think this serves a lot of things. Like one, you probably want to solve issues that your team are having, or at least make them feel heard. You probably want to know what opportunities as a business owner, because that's, it's good business. But it also creates a space to collaborate and see what maybe that person wants to run with. Maybe it gives an opportunity of like a trainer who wants to do more, and you're seeing if they're lead coach material. You're not evaluating, that's a strong word, this isn't a science experiment, but it is giving you a peek into like, how are they thinking about the business? Do they default to almost always client centric stuff, or are they looking at maybe like systems and programming, or are they looking at we got a coach who's really got a green thumb, and our plant game at our gym is on fucking point, which blows my mind. So I can't keep the plant alive to save me. This one behind me is new because it died. But you can start to see how are they seeing the business and what trajectory could they take if at some point you want to step away and want to replace yourself. That's one of many benefits of actually going through this together. It also gives them a peek behind the curtain of like, what's going on in the business. Because if you're on the floor 25 hours a week, you don't necessarily know what's going on in sales and marketing land.
Yeah, I think all those things are true. So I'll say yes, yes, and I really like the framing of wins and challenges, in part because it forces both of us to sit down and say what's going well in the last week or since we last met. What are some wins we've had or you've had or the business has had? Let's sit down and give praise where praise is due. Make sure we're talking about the positive things and the lessons we're learning from our success, not just from our failures. And then also what's not been going well. What are things that are issues or opportunities or things we need to focus on today? And I think probably the most important part of putting this as an agenda item in your meeting is that it encourages collaboration. All too often, people have one-on-one meetings with their managers that are very one-sided, and the manager comes with the agenda, and the manager dictates what we're talking about, and that's not a way to manage. No relationship survives that kind of one-sided approach, and so this is we're both going to contribute to the things we've seen go well, and we're both going to contribute to this list of things we want to work on or challenges or issues we need to address. So I love that as an agenda item, whether it's next on the list or wherever you put it, it's an important component.
Yeah. I also just thought of it is if you're like me and you haven't yet developed the skill of giving the frequency of giving enough specific positive feedback to people.
Yeah.
Getting them to share some wins. All you have to do is reflect back and give them praise. It's forcing you to do that thing, and what is it, 3-1, 5-1, 7-1? I've heard different numbers,
Yep.
more than 1-to-1 of positive to critical feedback. This is a great way to mine for that and then give it to them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because even if they're naming their successes and sharing them with you, you get to reflect them back and celebrate them in that moment. It still counts. It still feels good to have your boss recognize and appreciate and praise the great work that you've done, even if you're the one that has to tell them about it. And often you do. They don't see everything you do. So having this moment where they get to see what you think is going well is fantastic. Maybe I'll give the next one just to give you a break. But I think another item that goes on the agenda, maybe it's third, maybe it's second, I don't know. It depends on you. But there has to be some moment of accountability. After all, this is a management conversation, and one person's job is to manage the performance of the other. So there's going to be some moment where if I'm managing Ben, I will say, okay, Ben, next in the meeting, let's review your top priorities and projects. So this is a moment for us to, one, if we're not, get clear about what Ben's top priorities are and what projects he owns at the moment, right? And oftentimes that's a piece that's just missing in the relationship entirely, is people are not clear about what are the priorities on Ben's list. Ben may have a whole list of 1,000,000 to-do list items, but what's at the top? What are the things that are most important for him to accomplish? And is he focused on that, right? And so I would go through that list with him and say, okay, how's this going? How's this going? How's this going? And that's Ben's chance to report into me how he's doing on the things that we both agreed are at the top of the list in terms of priorities. You want to add to that?
I'm just kind of giggling a little bit because often what I've seen happen is Michael will be like, hey, one way of structuring this is Michael to ask me, I work for him in this scenario. He's like, what are your top priorities? And I say A, B, and C. And what Mike goes through Michael's head is like, what the fuck? So it can be a very good same page conversation if it's like, yes, and what about D and E? Those are the things we talked about last time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's very easy for that stuff to get lost in the shuffle when people have all kinds of things on their plate. It's important you're both on the same page about what are their most important ones. Not that there's a list of things, but a prioritized list. So very clear that if something's got to die or something's got to take longer or something's got to get kicked down the road or deprioritized, that we're on the same page about which ones those are and which ones those aren't. And all too often, I think that's where I see a lot of managers get really frustrated, is that their people they manage will prioritize the stuff that is easy. They'll prioritize the stuff they know how to do, and they'll deprioritize the stuff that's hard and that they might need to ask help with, or it might take a long time, or might be uncomfortable. And the reality is often the most important stuff is the stuff that's hardest and most uncomfortable, right? And so we got to be really clear-headed about that. And in the meetings, writing it down. So at some point there needs to be some time. I think, in a 30-minute meeting, this is a 5 or 10-minute conversation about let's stay accountable to your most important top priorities. Actually, let me just talk about timing. I'll go back. We haven't mentioned it yet, but generally speaking, we think in a 30-minute meeting, the personal check-in is probably like 5 minutes. The wins and challenges is probably another 5 minutes. Accountability probably takes a little longer. That's probably more like 10 of the 30 minutes. Which means we have but another 10 minutes left. So let's talk about how we would spend those, Ben.
Yeah. First up would be education. What knowledge or skills do you want to learn that'll take your work to the next level? Now, I will give the caveat that this, in my opinion, is biased towards a company that has growth or Kaizen or some synonym for value as part of their values, which I imagine will resonate with most of the people listening to this podcast. Sure. But this is something that, like, if for some reason you don't care about your team getting better, this could arguably be optional, even though I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. Yeah. But it's the nice part about it is it's kind of self-led. You'll notice that the question wasn't how are you doing learning A, B, and C. It's what do you want to learn? Again, it'll also help you get a feel for the direction that they want to go. I really want to learn a bit more about programming, or I want to learn external versus internal cues, or it's an admin role and they're like, you know what? It's clear to me that I'm actually lacking a little bit in my Google Sheets skills. I want to do a Google Sheets course. Can you recommend anything? I like it because it's getting them to do like kind of a miniature self-assessment, but it's also putting them in the driver's seat so that you can support them on the things that they want to accomplish.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, and I think this again should reinforce that, like we said earlier, this is a collaborative conversation where you are co-creating this person's work experience. And yes, you want to ask them, what do you want to learn about, Ben? Where are your opportunities to grow? What skills and knowledge can you develop to make you even better at your job, right? And I might disagree with Ben's answer as his manager, right? I might say, okay, those are great too. Can I offer some suggestions? Let's also consider this and this and this, right? And together we decide where Ben spends his time and energy to develop. But whether you're a company that is experiencing massive growth and scaling, and everyone's scaling up, or you're just a place where you want everyone to get a little better at their job every day, right? You don't need to have a huge corporate ladder for people to climb to have continuing education be important, right?
Yep.
Just being able to do your regular job more effectively with less stress, to be able to navigate problems that come up more nimbly. Nimbly? Is that a word? Yeah. I'm going to say it is.
Yes. With more agility.
More agility. Thanks. That's a real word. Those are all opportunities for learning and growth, right? And so I think having some part of your regular conversation to be about how are you growing, how are you learning, how are you developing, is really critical. And then I'll share the last part. I think the last part of the meeting I think is really critical, is where you flip the script and make sure that the employee gets a chance to kind of manage up. Right, so the question as a manager I want the meeting to end with is like, hey, Ben, what can I do to support you better between now and when we meet next? Right? What can I do as your manager to be a better support system and better network for you? And again, this is a quick conversation. We spend maybe 5 minutes on the education piece, maybe 5 minutes on the support piece. And I'll just share from my own experience. At first, employees who haven't been asked this before might not know what to say. Right. And very often you'll get, no, I'm good. I don't think I need anything from you. They're so, they're so conditioned to want to appear self-sufficient. Excuse me. Like they got it all figured out. They don't need anything. And so you might need to probe a little bit and be like, well, listen, I know you have this project coming up. If you want some feedback on it before it's due, I'm happy to give you some feedback. Or I know that you have a vacation day next week. So if you need anything for me to take on for you when you're gone, communicate to me in advance. I'm happy to help because I know you have one less day of work next week. I might need to offer some suggestions for how I, as their manager, can help, because they're going to be hesitant to want to put anything on my plate or show quote unquote weakness of needing help, right? Which we all know is a myth, but we're all conditioned to not want to ask for help. And so you might need to probe and prod a little here, but it really helps the meeting be, again, collaborative and a two-way street. I'm going to give you thoughts and feedback about how your performance is going, and I want the same from you about how I can show up better as a manager.
Yeah.
Anything you would add to that?
I mean, you had it really well said. I would just adjust the language. You might need to probe. I think 99% of the time you'll need to probe, particularly with newer people.
You're always going to have to probe.
Yeah, pretty much. If you don't, I think that would be an anomaly. I mean, I was even thinking, one of the examples you gave is like, you got that presentation. Do you want me to review the thing? Often people don't know what type of help they need. There's like, when what they think is, I just need some time to dig my heels in and do it, which is often what I think. And using Michael's specific example of the presentation, the number of times Michael's been like, do you need any help with that? And I'm like, no. And then he probes and he's like, well, when you get your next draft of your presentation done, I'd be happy to look it over. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's exactly what I needed. I just didn't know that I needed it. Yeah. So particularly as the manager gets to know the employee better, I want to be clear, you're not assuming incompetence here and trying to make them feel bad. No. You know the human and their strengths and limitations, because at the end of the meeting, you just got a whole bunch of info from them. You can give very pointed suggestions of things that you genuinely think could be valuable, and no one's going to be offended that you offered to help them.
Yeah. Well said. So let me recap. I know we're at the end of our time here, but so we think a regular one-on-one meeting agenda that happens maybe once a week, once every other week for full-time employees, maybe once a month for part-time employees. It looks something like this: about 5 minutes on a personal check-in. How's life? How are you? Maybe 5 minutes talking about wins and challenges, things that are going well, things that are not going well. 10 minutes on accountability. Let's review your top priorities, your top projects, make sure we're on the same page about how they're going and what those priorities are. 5 minutes on education. What are you doing to learn and grow? And maybe 5 minutes on support. What can I do as a manager to better support you? And listen, it's not the only way to have a one-on-one meeting, but I think if you touch base on those things, those 5 things in your one-on-one meeting in any way, in any order, you're going to have a good meeting. that's going to be it's going to be a good meeting. It's going to be collaborative and supportive, and growth oriented, both in a growth mindset and in a growth in terms of development. It's going to be an effective meeting, and one where I don't think either person should be bored. Right, and you're not spending any more than 5 or 10 minutes on each one of those things. So it moves along. You cover a lot of ground in 30 minutes. That's what I like about this agenda. And I'm biased. I'm pretty sure I made this one, but that's I think there's some things I really like about it, and it comes from a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Final thoughts from you, Ben, on the value or importance of one-on-one meetings here.
Yeah, the question I was thinking of is like, where do I start? And so let's say you've had a team, let's say you don't do this, or you've tried it and it's been patchy, but you're not currently doing it on a consistent basis for one reason or another. I'd say the place you start is just let your team know of like, hey, I've got a structured one-on-one meetings. I think it's going to be really beneficial for both of us. It's going to be collaborative, it's support, it's going to improve whatever the things you think are going to improve. And then start. Initially can be a little bit patchy. Pulling teeth isn't uncommon for the first couple meetings, particularly if it's existing staff now doing a new thing. It might feel a little bit different. And if you commit to this for a bi-weekly meeting for 3 months, I would be blown away if by the end of those 3 months you don't see like probably measurable an improvement in both your business, but also the depth of relationship you have with your staff. Then when things come up, you've been adding all these little marbles to the trust jar, and when things come up, you've got a balance established that you can pull from when the time is right.
Yeah.
If they don't get that support and that regular feedback and all the things we just talked about, it makes it really hard to handle things when shit gets tough. Like I'm kind of fortunate that I like all the people that I work with. And I think this is like a preparation meets opportunity thing. But like if I didn't like Michael and didn't feel like I got a lot of support, when I screwed something up and he came down on me, so to speak, like that's a lot harder to take than if we've been building rapport this whole time and we know there's a really trust thing. You can just have that deeper level of conversation without there being defensiveness and challenge. And that's not the only reason to do this. Your business is also going to get better. But yeah, if you're not doing this, like clearly I think you should start like literally now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said, my friend. I think it's such an investment. It's an investment in your people, and you're investing your time and your energy and your relational effort to spend time with this person and help them learn and grow and work better together. And you as a manager, if you're doing it well, you're also getting better as a manager over time, which I know for a lot of our listeners, you all are a lot of first-time managers, and so you got a lot to learn about what people need and how to support them. And that should be happening when you follow an agenda like this. Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, thanks as always, Ben. What a great conversation. We talked both about Broadway and how to have great one-on-one meetings. This is my perfect podcast, honestly.
That's great. Broadway and leadership, and we're good to go.
Honestly, we should just change the whole premise of this podcast to be about those two things, and we're good to go. Anyway, thanks for a great conversation, dear listeners. I hope you got some great notes and great values, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Talk
Bye.
soon.